I should be rewriting those things. Okay, so here we are live again, and we're going to go through this latest dissection I did, and we're going to talk about the whole configuration of the back of the foot and the heels. And this was an awesome dissection because with each one you do and with each thing you learn, each bit of incorrect knowledge you get rid of, and then each thing you learn, your understanding just opens up and you learn more and more. It's like you go on the fast track. And so this last dissection was really wonderful. And this is off a standardbred horse. The feet were sent to me by a professional trimmer, and they studied under Strasser and then studied some of the people here as well, if I remember right, like Pete Ramey, Jamie Jackson. And so the feet on this horse, the back feet were darn near perfect. And you wonder why. Well, I know why, because it had a big, thick external part of the frog was dead. Okay. And so it never trimmed the heels down real low on this horse. But the front feet were totally mechanically foundered to a disgusting degree. And I've come to a conclusion. Well, I'm not going to say conclusion, because when you come to a conclusion, it becomes a doctrine, meaning taught as truth. But I kind of was thinking something today as I was going through some pictures about front feet. Why do the front feet mess up some more? And I'm going to say that I think it might be because the front feet are actually way steeper than the rear feet even, because look, don't they teach you that the rear feet are steeper than the front feet? Anybody heard that? Hello?
I haven't heard that.
Oh, okay.
I've always heard that the hind feet are steeper.
Yes. So you can bet if they teach that, the truth would be the exact opposite. See?
I think I remember them saying about putting a like a broomstick on the angle of the back feet, the coronary band, and then extending it up to, was it supposed to be at the elbow? So I do know they taught it was different, but that was the method they said to use. Have you heard that one?
No, I have not heard the broomstick theory.
Yeah, like it's just a stick on their coronary band, the angle of the coronary band and the hind, and then you wanted the stick, and I can't remember whether it was the elbow or I think it was you wanted that angle of the hind feet to be that if you continued that angle of the stick, that it should be at, I think it was the horse's elbow.
The elbow and the elbow to the knee, that portion, anything higher than the elbow, then there's a correlation with NPA behind.
Yes. So that's what, which is wrong. But anyways, that was.
Well, that's interesting. Well, they're always coming up with stuff. So you can usually bet that anything they say is probably just the opposite. So start looking, maybe not all the time, but it kind of seems that way sometimes, Okay, so anyway, so this horse was totally mechanically foundered in front. And I'm just throwing this idea around in my head because of some pieces that have been put together, which I'll show later. Remind me to show you the feet on this wild horse that died on a reservation up in Washington. I got the feet off this wild horse. They're like as perfect as you can get. And the front feet, I've been looking at them for a while. They're almost strange looking, but you don't see them standing. But I also know another wild horse in Utah where the front feet, the hairline is almost straight across, if not. And so I'm just wondering if maybe the front feet are steeper, that they do even have a more straighter hairline more support in the back of the foot. I don't know. But anyway, it's just an idea. All right. So in this video, I guess I got YouTube going there. Okay. Anyway,
May
huh?
I ask or give an idea for why the front feet are more messed up than the hints?
Okay. Yes. Please
Uh,
do.
Maybe this is very crazy idea, but let's think about it. Because if you work on the horse's feet, for my opinion, it's easier to work on the front feet than on the hind feet. Or and you're beginning on the front feet, and may your power is good on the hind feet. Could be an idea why the fronts are more messed
can relate to that.
Than the hind feet. So
yeah, you're tired by the time you get the hind feet, so you don't over trim them as much.
yeah,
yeah, there you go.
Could be an idea.
And I remember too, just kind of thinking, oh, well, maybe the hind feet will just take care of themselves, but I've got to do something about these front feet. They're terrible, you know, and they just kept getting worse and worse. So yeah, I can relate to that. Okay, so all right, so we're just gonna watch me pull this capsule out. Let's see. Am I still on there? Well, something is going on with the YouTube thing here. Wait a minute. There is nothing. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of do that. Okay, so we're just gonna watch this thing. Well, maybe not. What's going on? It's about to come off.
I said I was worried, not you.
Oh, okay. Well, don't worry. He was afraid that it was going to pop off and hit me in the face. I was having my husband help me. Okay, stop right there. Don't lit up. Now pull it a little more.
I think I can feel it coming.
Yeah, it's coming. Sounds like Velcro when you take them off. Just little.
Yep, it's bleeding.
Yeah. See, it's slowly letting loose. It's gonna let cool.
Yeah, that's nasty.
Isn't that awesome?
Looks good, but it sure does stink.
Wow. Yeah. I just okay. All right. Okay, so we're gonna go look at this foot, and I'll share some things I learned at that time with you. Just a minute here. I'm gonna close that. Maybe. Okay, let's see, just a second here. Okay, so hold on. I'm lost. There we go. More share, screen share. Okay. So these are all feet that I got from this person who is a professional trimmer. She sent me, now I don't know if these were her horses or just horses that this person was trimming, but okay, this is the foot I'm going to dissect that day. And this was the front foot of the same horse. You see how foundered that is? Rotated and destroyed. Pretty sure that's why the horse was put down. Okay, so what I like to do, I like to take pictures of them with all the hair and just the state they're in first. And, you know, kind of study them. Now, this foot was very close to being anatomically correct. Now, the heels were being trimmed out, some, and because the frog was so dead, it was pulling the back of the foot down, and that is what was making these rings. This foot was not foundered. It did not have laminitis. But again, you see the rings. That is from the back of the foot being pulled down. That's from pressure, from the wall getting too long and the back of the foot being pulled down. You can see up here the strain, the redness. But all in all, the horse was really lucky not to get over trimmed. You can see he had a big old frog. And good sole, thick walls. And at first you would think, well, this total frog is dead, but not when you get inside. But you see how the heels go right now. The horse was in need of a trim. All right. And so whoever trimmed him would have come in here and just taken the heels down to the base of the frog. So you wouldn't have over trimmed him too much. But with each trim, the frog could get less and less, or he could even shed that frog, and that person could come in and trim his heels clear down to here. Frog height, because a lot of people trim to frog height, taking back to the widest part of the frog. Taking the heels back always takes them what? Can somebody answer that question?
Down.
Right, down, because the foot grows, the capsule grows down and forward. So when you trim it off, it comes back and up, meaning shorter. So yeah, big old frog there kept that horse from being over trimmed. Now, you know, he had some asymmetry here, but so far it hadn't really affected his inner foot yet. They can get so that the foot itself, the coffin bone, will deform. It'll get narrow on one side, wide on another. Can't remember what that was. Oh, okay, here I'm taking the hair off. So after I take pictures and evaluate them, then I soak them until I can get the hair off to where it'll just wipe off like that. You can just pull it off. Has anybody ever noticed how in floods, horses in water, how their skin gets really damaged and the hair will just wipe off?
I've seen pictures, yes.
Yeah, it's terrible. So this is the color of the horse's skin. Now, see, the reason I like to do this, a couple different reasons. One, you can really see the cartilage, what's going on with the cartilage up here, because you got to remember, as we are looking at this, as you are looking at it, remember that the foot, this is part of the foot. See, we've been kind of taught to think that the foot is just from here down. No, the foot itself is all of this, clear up back in here. And so this is the only part of the foot that you can see. And so it can be deformed because 2/3 of the foot is this cartilage and fat of the digital cushion. So this can be pulled clear down to here. It can also be jacked up. I've seen that before too, not as much. So this has many ways that, well, not many, but it has a number of ways that it responds to when the heels are being worn out. Something I've been seeing and learned from a new gal that joined just a few weeks ago and accidentally misunderstood and totally trimmed the heels out of this one horse on one foot, which I'll show you the picture of later. I learned something about how these feet respond to when the heels are worn out to try and save the horse, which creates a whole false form of a foot that we have not been seeing. I mean, we in TACT have been seeing it because I talked to you about spooling, how the bulbs get turned in, and we're going to see it on this dissection. I'll demonstrate it too. Okay, so I like to take pictures all the way around so we can look. Now, here's your cartilages in here and your digital cushion all in here. It's supposed to be supported by a big fat frog. Big frogs stay up here. But when the heels are trimmed out and the back of the foot lowers, it pulls this part of the foot down with it because, of course, it's attached to it. See, pretty good foot, pretty nice cartilage there. Not a lot of binding, not a lot of spooling. Now when I'd go to do this, this was the most interesting dissection I have done to date, in my opinion, because usually what I've had to do, I had to take a scalpel and separate this periopal here. This time I was able to take, what do you call them? The squeezy things. Forceps. There we go. Forceps, and just hook a forceps on there and pull and pull. And as I did so, you could see the little papillae of the corium that grows this periopal. You could see them pulling out and you could see it separate. And here you can see the frog stay, had a very healthy, good frog stay, growing up between the bulbs, supporting the back of this foot. And when you trim the heels out, because all this is attached, it pulls that whole foot down into an unnatural position. And it's like I always say, that foot is 10 times the strength, of course, as your nose. But if you push your nose over to the side of your face, what does it want to do? It wants to return to its position, right? Same thing when you're trimming the heels out of these horses or incorrectly trimming them. A lot of people don't know that they're trimming the heels out, and they'll say, well, we're not trimming the heels out. But it's because they don't understand and know what the true heels really are, because they've been taught that no heels is heels. And so this big fat piece of frog growing up here between the bulbs and in the sulcus of the frog corium, that's just, corium's another name for skin. This corium that grows the periopal band is just a type of skin. Okay, now, can't remember what I was going to say there. Anyway, now your digital cushion is all up in here in the foot. Not supposed to be clear down here at the ground. It's supposed to be supported by this frog. It's part of the suspension system. Yeah, has anybody here ever pushed on a shock off a car, or has they ever pushed on one? You know how they work? You know, they're hydraulic loaded and you can really push down on them, but they're pushing back on you the whole time. And when your shocks are worn out in your car, first of all, it's dangerous. Like I had a geostorm one time, and the struts, shocks, whatever you want to call them, on the back were totally worn out. And I was going over this bridge and I hit a bump, and my car was driving on its side on 2 tires. It bounced me that high up in the air. That's why you want to have good shocks. Another sign of bad shocks is when you go over a bump and it goes boom, and you just bottom out, boom, like that. Your shocks are worn out. Well, that's what happens when this configuration is not just right. Your horse is bottoming out. He doesn't have anything in the back of the foot that's helping the tendons to spring back, the foot to spring back. Okay, so here you see it. See the periopal corium? See the little papillae there that are feeding it? It was so neat because I took the forceps and I just started pulling and I could see all that separating. I did not have to cut it this time. So learned a lot there. Okay, so here you see, you get that frog stay loose. That's how you start all this. Here you can see the periopal corium. Now, the periopal is only supposed to ring the foot like this. It is not supposed to be growing under the foot. But when you trim the heels down and the whole back of the foot is pushed down and the frog is stripped out from that, it will start growing over the frog. But on this foot, it's not. This is ideal. And this corium under here that grows this frog, all this can get what's called cornified. Now, I don't know where I even picked this up. What I call cornified is when, like, if this horse was alive and I peeled his foot off like this, he'd bleed, obviously. But this can be peeled off, and initially the skin will have a reaction to where it gets, what do we call it? Like what I call a cornified surface over it, to where, and if it gets covered over, it won't grow. I've seen it happen on the lamina on the coffin bone as well, in horses where they either had like some fungus that got up there and ate, and they had a big separation in the wall. It looked like a cave. You could look all up in there and you could see the lamina on the foot all dried out. And yet the capsule will grow and reattach and cover and renew it again as well. So, you know, this is interesting. See, when you're looking at the back of that foot, now again, look at this periopal, because this periopal was excellent. And the periopal, again, it's a band. It goes all the way around the foot, and it's not supposed to be under the foot. Now here you're seeing where the periopal should be, which is along the back of the foot. It covers up all this busy stuff going on back here, because you've got your coronary band that comes to here, grows your heel buttress, and then it turns and it goes under the foot and grows the bar. And then you got your frog corium that grows the frog right here on the side of the foot. And then of course the center of your foot right here, where you've got your frog corium under there and growing the frog stay, and then the frog over here. And so what this does is the way this widens out back here, it just covers the whole back of this up into one nice, neat little package. And of course, this periopal too is what attaches the hoof capsule to the leg. This is why there has to be a certain configuration here. All of this supports and keeps all this in place. Is that not just cool? See, do you see how that's supposed to keep these bulbs up in the air and support the back of this foot? And so all this big, huge fat pad in here, when that pastern descends, and it can descend clear to the ground, then it's pushing on this fat pad, it's spreading these cartilages here, and it pushes down onto this frog. And just the way this frog is built, see, first of all, it's got this periopal band that is so strong. These things are so strong that's holding the frog back here. It's surrounding the foot here. And so then all of this, the frog here is pushed to the ground like that. But you know what? It don't want to be pushed to the ground. Neither does the digital cushion. It don't want to be smashed out. So when all this is happening, it's all the periopal, everything's all pushing back, pushing back, pushing back. You see how that would help your tendons and your pastern? That even though the pastern with such force is descending, all of this is being compressed and spring loaded and pushing back up, pushing back up. And as it does so too, it flips the foot back into place where it's supposed to be.
Linda,
Yeah.
can we ask questions or do we have to wait till later?
No, go ahead and ask questions.
Okay, I'm just looking at the frog and the support system there. So I'm a little confused. We're trimming the frog at this time because we're restoring the foot, right? So we're trimming the frog down a lot. So when we're growing the back of the heel so that we have 2 inches from the hairline, that isn't giving or allowing the frog to have any kind of contact with the ground, even under pressure. You know what I mean? So how is that supporting the digital cushion?
Well, let me think about that. Well, it still supports it because the frog is elastic. All this elastic here, and you don't like even this frog here. Okay, there isn't a lot of space. Just a minute, let me go back here. Okay, see there? That frog is still not touching the ground. And even though you don't think your foot is touching the ground, it still is, even if you've trimmed that frog. Now, I hope I haven't got you to over trimming the frog, you know, sometimes because I've done that too. So there's like a balance you're working at here to be as you're growing everything. Now, this frog is meant to descend to the ground. But if this horse was standing because of the way the ground is, this frog is still bearing ground pressure. You ever seen the way these horses, like when they're standing, there's so much weight there. I don't know what else to tell you there on that.
Linda, Eva here.
Mm-hmm.
I read the Swedish study about barefoot.
Mm-hmm.
That there are Agria and these guys jumping in the high. The OS who won. And they were saying that they found that the hoof wall was very flexible in an unshod hoof. So the back of the hoof was very, very opening up, and when it was on the ground.
Yeah.
It's like you have the stamp where you say approve, or you press it down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that there's still frog contact. Yeah. Even if your frog is not, you know, even if your heels aren't clear up to here.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't had any real problem with that as far as doing this restoration, other than I did over trim one too many times the frog on the pony, and that had a negative effect of contracting the heels. So I would be careful, you know, because this is what keeps your heels from contracting, is this frog stay right in here. Right in here. So that's the part that I would be watching out for, you know, and paying attention that you're not over trimming your frog.
Linda,
but this, yeah.
I sent you some photos of those Swedish horses, the hooves.
Oh, let's look. Yeah.
Remember that you asked me where I found them, and I sent you the link to the web page.
Okay.
And you could see you can't really see the hooves so well, but at least to get an idea of how they are doing that, and they are competing at high level, well, Olympic level competition.
Yeah, and didn't they just start doing that with not having shoes on those particular horses?
More and more show jumpers are starting to go barefoot.
Yeah.
And they're all saying that they're going much better than with shoes. But no, because
For the
they
time being.
you said that you said that you thought that they were trimming the heels too much, but I don't know, because we just mentioned
Yeah.
that study. Maybe it would be interesting to see those.
Yeah, I'll go there here in a second, but here, okay, like what I was showing last week, it's like the foot, the anatomically correct foot sits on a teeter-totter, you know, and it's right there, and you can go too much one way or the other. And so what happens in barefoot trimming is horses start improving, because a lot of times maybe they do have too much heel, or they do have this, that, or the other. And so you can trim them and they get to this place where everything seems good and they seem sound, but then they're going to start going the other way because they keep trimming them the same way. They keep trimming the heel out of them and pulling the back of the foot down. You know, even if you trim this frog down, because you're trying to get, say, we're only trimming the frog down to the degree we do now on a lot of these horses because the back of this foot has been pulled down, and you're wanting to kind of loosen stuff up here so that it will grow and move. So it's not going to be ideal. Nothing you do while you are in this restoration process is going to be ideal. You know, you're not going to have your perfect frog contact. First of all, frog contact is when the frog goes down to meet the ground, not when it's just the heels are cut down so that you're forcing frog pressure. Because if you do that, you're going to wind up trimming the heels out of your horse. If you use the frog at all to determine heel height, no matter what's going on with that frog, okay, you're going to trim the heels out of your frog, out of your foot, and you're going to pull the whole back of this foot down. See, this whole thing that they have to have frog pressure is totally 100% incorrect. Because, and we'll look at that more as we look at this foot here.
Linda, you're close to half hour.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go here. Okay, so now the foot is out. Now, as soon as you take the feet out, a lot of times the back of the foot falls down, or it's just kind of, because it needs support of this capsule. Those two have to work together. And also because I have this down, now pressing the back of this down, this is not the shape. We cannot look at the shape of this and determine what it's supposed to be, because this supports it. And so you see how I have this down? I could not hold this up at the same time and take a correct picture because it was just me. But if I was holding this up, you would see more definition of the heels and you would not see the bulbs on the ground. But can you see how this frog here supports the back of this foot, and how the heels support the back of this foot up off the ground? But on a barefoot horse that they've been trimming with, guess what? I bet if we measured from here to here, it'd be about 1 centimeter. You think? See that right there? So he's having everybody trim these heels out clear to here and dump these bulbs that on the ground. And there's no frog in those horses either. So this shows you, now, other than the fact that this is pulled down a little, which you're going to see, look at barefoot horses now, you're going to see their bulbs always on the ground pounding the cartilages, when the cartilages are supposed to be up off the ground and supported by this huge frog stay. Look at that. That's massive. And look at the foot, the beauty of the foot. But what do they see? I'll bet you anything. I'm going to have to measure it. That's 1 centimeter. So that means you'd cut out all the support. You'd force the foot down on the ground like that when it's supposed to be supported up off the ground and the air. Uh-oh.
Linda,
Yeah.
well, I sent you a photograph. You know, I am in the middle of the prosection of acquiring some hills and some frog.
Mm-hmm.
I send it you on your messenger.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm very ashamed because it was raining and the photograph is made, the
That's
hoof
okay.
is filled with mud.
That's
But you
okay.
can see my frog is beginning to crawl back.
Oh,
And
good.
maybe it would be interesting to share this
Yes.
photograph.
I will. In fact, when we're going to start the next recording session here in just a minute, and we're going to look at the
Okay,
pictures
thank
that
you.
both you guys sent. Okay, so now I have to stop this. We're going to stop the